Hello everyone, this is Ramon DeFranco here, and it's that time of year again. It's the Stanley Cup Playoff Predictions Show. This is the series where we predict which teams are going to do well in this year's playoffs. And if you're in a hockey playoff pool, then this is the info that you need to know. The regular season is over, and there are a few teams that surprised me as well as some that disappointed me. In this year's playoffs, we say goodbye to the Seattle Kraken and the Minnesota Wild from the Western Conference and the New Jersey Devils from the Eastern Conference. We welcome the Vancouver Canucks, the Nashville Predators in the West, and the Washington Capitals in the East. I think that the biggest surprise this year is the Vancouver Canucks, because they went from missing the playoffs last season to finishing first in their division this year. In fact, it was just the second time clinching a playoff spot since 2015, en route to winning their first division title since 2013. The Washington Capitals have been another pleasant surprise this year, as not only did they rebound from missing the playoffs last year, but the Grey A himself, Alex Ovechkin, scored 30 goals for the 19th time, surpassing Mike Gardner for most 30-goal seasons. Not bad for an aging superstar. Can he break Wayne Gretzky's record for most goals in a career? I think he would have passed 99 already if not for the wiped-out season 04-05, as well as the strike-shortened 2012-2013 season, and yet another short season 2020-2021 due to COVID. Only time will tell if he can do it. Now that we've talked about the positive surprises, let's talk about the teams that disappointed this year. I think the biggest disappointment for me was the Seattle Kraken. That's because they missed out on playoff hockey for the second time in 3 years. Part of the reason for that was because Matty Beniers, who won the Calder Trophy as the Rookie of the Year, had a sophomore slump, as he went from 57 points in 80 games to only 36 points in 74 games, and that's a bit of a letdown. Before we get into our first round predictions, let's recap what happened last season. The Vegas Golden Knights defeated the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history. Vegas has not changed their roster in the offseason, and I'm hoping that they will be sharp enough to defend their title. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, that it's tough defending your championship. Yeah. Okay, now I can get into the first round predictions starting in the Western Conference. This is the third time that the Dallas Stars will compete against the Vegas Golden Knights. These two teams have split the previous two series, and this year that these two teams have faced off 3 times with the Vegas Golden Knights winning every game. Keep in mind the first one came in the shootout, and the second one came in OT before a convincing 6-1 win back on December 9th. Vegas outscored Dallas 11-4 in those games. Don't expect this trend to continue because I'm predicting the Stars to dispose of the defending champs in 5 games. This is my upset special, and in fact, I'm predicting the Stars to win the Cup this year. The Vancouver Canucks will square off against the Nashville Predators in the first round of this year's playoffs. These two teams have seen each other once before, and that was back in 2011 when Vancouver won that series in 6 games. They still had the Sedin twins as well as Ryan Kesler and Alex Burrows. The Canucks have won all 3 games against the Preds, outscoring them 13-6. And if I were to be asked about this playoff series as a whole, this is going to be a very tight series, as I'm predicting that it will take all 7 games for the Canucks to get by the Predators. For those of you in a hockey draft, you might want to consider taking JT Miller as well as Elias Peterson, Quinn Hughes, and Brock Boeser, as I expect them to light up the score sheet. Also, Vancouver's goaltending really stepped it up big time, and that's why they deserve to clinch a playoff spot. The third series in the West features the Winnipeg Jets hosting the Colorado Avalanche. This is the first time that these two teams have seen each other in the playoffs. Winnipeg has won every game against the Avs, 1 at home and 2 on the road, so they have proven that they can handle Colorado anywhere. This is the playoffs, and I am expecting Colorado to put up a fight, but I'm predicting a full 7-game series victory in favor of the Winnipeg Jets. And last but not least, the Edmonton Oilers will once again compete against the Los Angeles Kings. As a matter of fact, this is the third straight year that these two teams will play against each other in the first round of the playoffs. Edmonton had the advantage in the season series, going 3-1, with one of their wins coming in the shootout. The Oilers had a narrow 11-9 goal differential. I'm predicting a 4-game sweep in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, now let's get into the Eastern Conference, shall we? This is the third time in 4 years that the Tampa Bay Lightning will compete against the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. These two teams have also played against each other 3 times this year, with Florida winning the first 2 games 3-2 and 9-2 on December 27th and February 17th, respectively. Tampa Bay won the last game 5-3 on March 16th. One interesting point is that the road team had won every game. Although the Florida Panthers are ranked higher than Tampa Bay, I'm going out on a limb in saying that the Lightning will win that series in 6 games. Also, the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs will square off in the playoffs for the first time in half a decade, and 17th overall, with both teams splitting the first 8 series. And these two teams have had a long playoff history, including their intense playoff series 11 years ago in 2013, that the Leaf fans are still trying to forget. On paper, Boston has won every game against Toronto in the regular season, and despite that finish, I'm predicting that this series will end in a full 7-game set in favor of the Bruins. In a Metropolitan Division matchup, the Washington Capitals meet the New York Rangers in the first round as well. This will be the 10th series featuring these two teams, with New York winning 5 of the previous 9 series. The Blue Shirts entered this year's playoffs having won a franchise record 55 games, breaking the record of 54 games set in 1994 and 2015. Meanwhile, Washington goes into that series just barely making the playoffs as the 8th place team. Although both teams have split the regular season series with 2 wins each where the home team won every game, I don't expect this series to last very long, as I'm predicting that the Rangers will sweep the Caps out of the playoffs in 4 straight games. And the final series features the New York Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. This is another series that features 2 teams that have split the 4-game season series, where the road team won every game. In fact, 3 of those 4 games were decided by only a single goal. This is the second straight year that both teams will compete against each other in the playoffs. Since the Hurricanes are the higher seed than the Islanders, expect this to be a high-scoring series, albeit a breeze for the Hurricanes, because I'm predicting that the Carolina Hurricanes will dominate the Islanders in 4 straight games. That's the end of my predictions for round 1 of the 2024 Stanley Cup Playoffs. What do you think of them? Do you have different opinions? If so, you can let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next round.